Hello, everybody. Time to start streaming, I guess. Okay, we'll go ahead and start with, I guess, just opening some of these new Final Fantasy packs and see what we get there. Did not really expect to get anything particularly phenomenal, but hopefully it'll give us some ideas for decks to build whenever I get back from Vegas in a couple weeks. Alright, nothing particularly great in that initial opening pack. Let's see. Reasonable dual land if we go into any of the Gruul stuff. Ultima's going to end up being a house for the next couple years in control decks, so that's a good pull. The fact that it stops any death triggers or leaves play triggers or anything after the destroy effect is just kind of amazing, so it's going to be a very good good board wipe slash combo disruptor. Alright, the Astral Illusion's Planisphere has some potential. You know, the fact that it gets bigger for every non-creature and for the third card each turn could mean that it's adding between 2 and 5 power in a single turn fairly consistently. I don't think it really outcompetes Quarry Steel Cutter, but there might be a deck that winds up wanting to just get big with non-creature spells, or maybe even just dump it on a VV and see what happens there, because then it's getting twice the power for every non-creature spell. Regalia is really good and limited. Not sure how it's going to do in the constructed formats, but it's been interesting for sure. I don't think Yashilt is really going to see much play outside of Commander. Double Insteps doesn't do too much right now, even with the Blink effect, but we will see. Maybe someone will find some broken combo with it. Dang, 4 mythics in this rare pack. That's pretty solid. There's already a couple, like, aggro combo decks that have been played in the pre-release events with Furion. It was a really good role player for me in my Boros aggro deck Saturday at the pre-release. Surprisingly nice to get duplicate copies, even if they only are for a turn. Yeah, Triple Triad's a joke card that's just there for the Commander Chaos decks. Another kind of jokey card. The one that goes with it. Go-Go is going to be kind of silly in CDH, but other than that, just kind of another goofy card. And Taigam's kind of garbage. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, Sandworm has hints of a Ponza deck lying around it. There's already another 5-drop that blows up lands, so maybe if you have good green-red ramp or something, making a land destruction deck would be good. People aren't playing very many basics right now, so even though they replace themselves with basics, could hate out a lot of decks in the format if you can get to 5 fast enough. Samurai Katana is just kind of a bad Quarry Steel at this point. You only get the 1 token, but Trample and Haste are very good keywords. But probably won't make it into any actual deck, sadly. Wild card, that'll be good for making a commander or making a constructed deck once I get back from Vegas. Wasn't too interesting to talk about here. Emperor of Palmesia can be an absolute house in limited if you get it to flip it for that Starfall effect. I don't really think there's going to be a lot of space for it in standard. I'd like to be wrong though, because that would be really fun, but just VV just does way better than what it's trying to do. Nothing particularly interesting here. More limited fodder. Gigantoid Adventurers Airship and Gishel Greens are all pretty good and limited. Haven't seen the Wizards of Obsidian Elder make up for it being a undercosted 3-drop, so it hasn't really mattered much in limited for me, but we'll see if that changes in draft. And probably the worst of the crystals. The Anthem effect is very strong, like to give flying and lifelink if you're already like heavily in white, but that's only a limited option. Even in Commander, it's not particularly great, unless you're in like a full like Soul Sister life gain style of deck. Alrighty, another one with nothing for standard. Stuck in Summoner Sanctum is pretty good. The ability to turn off their activated abilities is really nice. Other than that, just a standard sleep effect, but having flash is nice. The only reason I think it's worth the 3 is because it turns off their activated abilities even while they're tapped out. Oh, Aerith. I want to try and build a Legends Matter deck around her. We'll see if it happens, but I think she's fun. A little undercosted, dies to everything, but yeah, we'll see what happens with her. So many Choco Kicks. And there's a chance that Opera Love Song might go in some sort of a fast package once Monstrous Rage is gone, but seems relatively unlikely right now. Being able to cast this on your opponent's turn, though, to get 2 extra cards on your next turn is pretty good. If you don't have to use it for its pump ability, so the modularity is nice. But as long as Monstrous Rage exists, you just don't really need this kind of pump effect. Another Y'shtola. Let's see. Chocomog's been a house for me. It's really good if you can curve like Garnet into Chocomog and then start playing out a lot of job select or just hero generating token effects. Really fun to go wide with. It's only been bad for me in one situation unlimited, which is pretty good. If a card's only bad once, whenever you get to play it, 10 plus times. Oh god, Vincent's an absolute monster in limited. Don't think he's gonna see much standard play. 4 is just a lot of mana for a 2/2 that dies to everything on his front side. And there's a lot of really good exile effects around right now, so even the backside doesn't do that great. Because it's only a dies trigger, not a leaves the battlefield trigger. Oh, did not realize bonus sheet cards were going to be in the online version as well. That's cool. So, light up the stage. Not going to be standard legal, unfortunately, but a good card for all decks and Pioneer. It's decent. Mono Red still plays it occasionally. Let's see. Magic Damper is probably the best combat trick in the format. Like the Hexproof's great. Making whoever attacked a blocker as well is also quite strong. So overall, really good card. We'll see where it goes. Same thing with the Aerith Rescue Mission, actually. It has done a ton for me in the, the limited environment. Being able to make the tokens to go wide whenever you need to go wide, and then having the modularity to also just clear the way for your attackers or stun their biggest stuff so you have a good way. So it's been really nice for me. And so I need to turn the camera off for just a second. Alright, and we're back. But yeah, other than that, not much to talk about in here. Emmett Silk's going to do some interesting stuff. In probably commander formats, having a Yogg Will on your turn is really nice. So you can still fill the graveyard on your opponent's turns and then try and combo off on your turn. It is an upkeep trigger, which is a little bit worse, so it'd be nice if you can give it flash, or, you know, if you play it, you need to have protection for it. But it's definitely interesting. I kind of want to see if there's a CEDH deck for it, but 14 is a lot to get to, even in CEDH quickly. Nothing particularly impressive in this pack. Stolen Uniform is probably going to wind up being in the Hammer Time decks in Pioneer, possibly Modern, we'll see. Instant Speed attached a 10/10 Colossal Mallet to whatever creature's not blocked. Seems pretty good. And the fact that you can steal it from opponents is also decent, so that'd be good in the mirror match. So, not that a whole lot of people play that deck currently. Thunder Magic's also just a fine removal spell. It's a shock that can become a burst lightning that can, in really weird cases, shoot for 8. It was able to do that one time out of the pre-releases, but it was pretty solid. Hey, we got our first chatter. Huzzah. How you doing, Jubis? Alrighty, Relentless or XA Atmos, Masters, I'm just gonna keep calling it Atmos. It's really strong. So much good lightning. Yeah, actually lightning's one of the best cards in this set, so hopefully I'll pull one for you so you can see what the actual lightning does. But out of this pack, Cypher is interesting. I love the art on him, like it's excellent card art. But the ability is a bit underwhelming. You have to make combat damage, even if you get the double strike to get 2 spells. Like, it's unlikely you're going to get there, and most of the spells you're doing that with, you don't really need to get too many repeat copies of. This thing that was an absolute house unlimited. It was great. There isn't a sub button until I hit affiliate. So since this is my first stream, I still have to, you know, make the ways to get affiliate. Until then, I just have the follow button. But hopefully it's soon. Twitch just updated how they do their affiliate program. So instead of having to maintain certain viewership over a 30-day window, it's under I think a 4-day window, possibly 7. I'll have to review that to make sure. But as long as I can get enough people following and chatting, I'll be able to get to subs. Let's see. Commune with Beavers is another good one, and just also a hilarious concept. Should see play in a number of the green wannabe combo decks, especially the green-red decks with Terra, things like that, where you're wanting to just kind of churn through your deck to specific cards. Oh, thank you. I'm glad the camera worked out well. Did a lot of effort to try and get the lighting and everything right for it, so I'm glad it looks good. Teller the Great Sage. This is another commander card. 3 scaling abilities depending on how much mana was spent to cast the spell, and you get each of them if you cast one that's, you know, large enough. Most of the time you're just going to be getting the token out of this. If you build your deck right, you'll, you know, be able to get the draw 2 fairly often. If you're casting an 8 mana spell in Commander, you should be winning the game though, so that's not going to happen as often. But still, overall pretty interesting for Brawl and Commander decks. And Gaius Van Belisar has been surprisingly fun. It's like a mix between a Fleshbag Marauder and a Chupacabra, where you get to choose which mode is best for you. So if you choose either the non-token or the enchantment, you don't have to sack him if he's your only token or non-token creature. So most of the time you're going to choose those modes unless it's worth trading this creature for the other creature. But yeah, overall it's very fun to have a modular version of a Fleshbag effect. Oh, okay. Let me see if I can adjust the chatting window to fix that then. Give me just 1 second. Mm-mm. Yeah, I agree. The magic card art does go really hard. That's just moving this sideline. It's not letting me actually increase the width to that side. Oh, good. I'm glad the audio is going well too. There were some people saying the recording yesterday had some robotic portions, so I was a little bit worried about that. Let me get into the properties on this and see if I can adjust the sizing of that. Hmm. Yep, I'm not sure why it's cutting off from that side. I'm not seeing good control over that side of the frame. And yeah, right now I'm opening packs, and then I'm gonna go ahead and jump into a limited tournament. So that's where I'll get 6 sealed packs and build a deck out of just those 6 packs, and then play that for a few rounds. But wanted to open up some of the new content first, just to make sure audio, video, everything was set up right before we get into the actual gameplay. And the audio and video width settings are set for that right. Not sure why it's pulling with that left side cut off. Might have to try and reset that off stream and modify it again, since I'm not getting a good pull on it this way. Let me try one more thing if I can. Oh, it's not letting me get to the far edge either. Yeah, I enjoy the little animations as well. I'm glad I found this pack. I modified it a little bit, to fit my frame better. But it's a nice little animation pack. Okay, Twitch chat's about to become probably ridiculous. I'm going to attempt to fit to screen and then resize down to Primat. So let's see how bad that goes. All right. I think that probably put Twitch chat behind my head. It made it very tiny. And it's still cutting you off, even at fit to screen. That means something's wrong with the actual source. I will have to fix that inside Streamlabs. So that'll probably be a later today option. So this is back to the old setting. And yeah, I'll have to fix that. It most likely means that whenever I made the actual frame that this is pulling from, that I just have it slightly off center in the frame. Actually, since it's just you and me right now, I will hop over there and check it out. Okay, let's see. This is the chat box overlay. Edit. Yeah, it looks like how I have the chat box against the left side edge just slightly went over it. So let me just adjust that slightly. Save. All right. Let me give that a little bit of time to update, and then we'll check again and see how it goes. Yep, that's what it looked like. All right, mind texting or typing one more thing? I want to see if that live updated or not. Perfect. There we go. Now I need to adjust the sizing a little bit since it's cutting off the other side, but I can work with that. All right. Perfect. All right, once I'm in game, we won't have to worry about looking over that card frame either. So let's go ahead and get back to opening some packs of Magic then. Get to show you some more of this really cool art. I know you're not as into the Magic itself, but the card art in this set is amazing. Alrighty, nothing here particularly worth talking about. The Haste Magic art is another one that just looks amazing, but it's not a particularly good card. Once again, it's another thing that might have potential once Monstrous Rage is out of the format, but probably not at 2 mana. Oh, the other Yusholta. So I now have 2 arts of her, that's fun. What we got? Yeah, as we go, these will start going faster because there'll be more cards that we've already opened. Alright, so Red Mage's Rapier has some potential. It's basically Slickshot's show-off's ability, but you get to put it on any creature you want. But an equip cost of 3 is a bit hefty for that in Standard. Might be some universe where an equipment deck makes it matter, but doesn't seem likely so far. Poor Queen Brawn. She will never be able to look good no matter what they do to her. She was a pretty terrible character. Then our second bonus sheet card that we've opened so far, the Vandiel Adventures. New version of Labman. He's an okay finisher in Commander decks. Nowadays, Thassa's Oracle is just a more consistent and faster way to do it, so you don't really see Labman very much anymore, but yeah, he still wins games sometimes. Alright, Vane's Treachery has been an excellent removal spell and limited. 2 mana for -2 isn't probably going to be particularly great right now in Standard. If more indestructible creatures start coming around, instead of giving everything hexproof and everything else, then we'll have a reasonable chance of this to come in later on in black decks. Right now the removal's just a bit better than this, so it probably won't be in until after rotation, if it even comes in then. Then Grandpil's Ochu is an excellent limited card and kind of garbage for everything else, but really good in our sealed decks and will probably be pretty good in draft as well. Tiva's Limit Break is one of the worst of the Limit Break style effects, sadly. Actually, yeah, I get that. That does look kind of like a one-piece enemy. Like, that makes sense. Trying to think. I think him versus Chopper would be a fun fight. See who could eat the most stuff. We got Stiltson. Yeah. I don't know what deck he's going to be yet. It's going to be something goofy, but I'm so happy that they made him as a legend. Oh, another of the bonus sheet cards. Surprisingly, the Farseek. So, standard card or land ramp card, very good in most green decks, even if we do have Nature's Lore and 3 visits already around. But that's a very pretty art for it. And we got our first Barrett Wallace. He's interesting to me. He feels kind of like a Hellrider. The lack of haste is not great. But in limited, the reach that you get from his attack trigger has been really good for me. It's usually between 2 and 4 at the time that I get it out there. Do note that it's not the number of equipments you have, it's the number of equipped creatures. So if you stack all your equipment on one guy, you're only going to get 1 damage off of it. So not the best play sometimes, but it all depends on what the board presence is. And Sarah. Another one with excellent card art. There's going to be a Legends Matter deck at some point, and I think she'll be good in that eventually, but most of the really good Legends you want are very color intensive, and they don't have a lot in the way of colorless mana, so their cost reductions not exactly where you want it to be just yet, but oh, there's gonna be something good with her. You know, maybe run her in the Naya deck to get your Yunas out sooner or something, but I think that's a little bit niche. Especially whenever you're really trying to reanimate sagas and reanimate your overlords. Alrighty. Out of the new cards, one's just a really solid limited card. It's an expensive version of both a plummet and a naturalized slammed together. The cycling's nice for whenever you don't need it or whenever you like absolutely have to dig for whatever the bomb is to get you out of your situation. But otherwise, really versatile removal and limited. I'll probably run like 1 to 2 of these in any draft decks I get, and probably as many of these as I can fit into a sealed deck. But yeah, it almost always has a target, and if for some reason it doesn't, you just cycle it and get a new card. And then Fire Magic is really interesting. It's the first time they've printed an instant speed 1 damage to everything. So that could be really good against some of the token decks going around. And the fact that it escalates to like the regular cost that you have for 3 mana for 2 mana, or 2 damage instant speed to everything. It's pretty good. That and just instant speed pyroclasm effects, even if it's 1 more for that, it's not bad. I don't think you'll ever really use 6 mana for 3 to everything. Like that's usually a 3 mana effect to do that, you know, like Slagstorm style effects, things like that. But no, the first 2 modes are pretty solid, worth playing. Oh, good, another ultimate. That's 2 out of the playset. So I don't know even in the control decks if it's going to be a 4 of. It might only be like a 2 or a 3 of and then use lower costed Wraths before that, but we will see. Alrighty, Suplex. This is one of my favorite cards in the set. When they spoiled this off of the Brazil stuff a couple months ago, I was so happy. And yes, there is a Phantom Train for Sabin to Suplex, and it works exactly as the card should in that situation. You just exile the Ghost Train. It's wonderful. The Dwarven Castle Guard's a good filler card in Limited. Probably will see play in anything that wants to like hold equipment or the Dwarf Synergy decks with Goyen. Pretty fun little card. Like the art. It's very cute. This one I've not found to be good. A lot of the times they don't have a tapped creature whenever you want to play this on curve. And it's a 3/3 flyer, but you only get to swing with it for that 1 turn. But 2 turns of making something else flying is okay. It just feels a little underwhelming for 4-drop. Yeah, another triple triad, more junk fodder. Let's see, only new card there is the Laurel Brit Scout. Very cute, but not very good, unfortunately. There may be a place if you can set up enough like token generating synergies to do this in a limited deck with like Fat Chocobo to give it trample. But without trample, that ability is just kind of useless. Oh cool, Bart's and Boko. This is one of the first ones we've seen that's actually probably standard playable. It looks like Bant Birds is actually going to be a deck. Oh yeah, you're right. The Lower Pit Scout is so freaking cute. They did a great job on the art with that. I really like how they did the shading on it. It's like it's not a lot of this is very glossy. This one is much more like matte. It looks really soft and cute. Yeah, so with Bart's and Boko, the ability that it's not a fight effect, it's a punch effect. It just deals the damage. They don't get damage dealt back to them. Makes it so much better. Curves out really well if you play this. You know, it'd probably be Saz's Chocobo on 1. On 2, either ramp spells or one of your create a Chocobo effects. And to 3, probably Fenrir to fix your mana, and then you can go straight into Bart's and Boko on 4, or go into Choco and then into Bart's and Boko on 5. Like there's a lot of fun options to get just a ton of birds out early and clear the way, so that whenever your Choco swings, you get lots of extra damage off of the landfall trigger. So hopefully we'll open a Choco in a minute so we can talk about that one. Alrighty, we got my favorite card with the word Choco on it so far. Choco Comet. It's a pretty old school fireball effect. Just X damage to whatever you need it to. If it's earlier in the game, you're probably killing their creature and then getting the token out of it. Late game though, it's just, oh, you're at 7, I'm up to 9 mana. Well, you're dead now. But yeah, it's really good as a role player because of that token, so you can just use it for the removal early and also get a good blocker out of it, or just, you know, build up your bird synergies. Very fun Choco Comet. And then, in my opinion, probably the best or second best of the basic land cyclers in the set. Hilgigas in Sealed has been amazing for me. Occasionally you'll actually have to mountain cycle it just to keep, you know, hitting lands on curve or to get double red for a particular spell. A lot of the time I just wind up casting it on 6 or 7 and just a trample haste it for 5 damage is nice. Just kind of lava axe people. But yeah, it's been good for me. And Blitzball I think is really fun in those like kind of greedy 4 or 5 color decks. I haven't actually used the sacrifice ability yet. It's just been a 3 mana of any color rock, but there are enough legends in this that if you can keep like probably 7+ legends in the deck, or, you know, at least 3 really good ones that are going to get through, the second effect could be pretty useful. But that's more for like a 4 or 5 color control to have legends matters. And let's see. Summon Titan. This is another one that's actually going to see some standard play. Right now it's like a 1 to 2 of in the Una reanimate decks. So could be good. Not entirely certain. But a 7/7 for 5 is good even if you only get to do attack once. It's great for all your landfall stuff though. Like mill 5, get all your lands back. And it's a turn earlier than you'd get Lumra. And then the last ability can just win you the game. Like giving trample and a huge amount of power is good, but it's telegraphed for 2 turns, so there's a good chance they're going to remove whatever you target before it gets the ability. Overall though, not a bad card. Alrighty, now we get into some more of the fun ones. So Restoration Magic, I think it might see a little bit of sideboard play against like the heavy removal decks in your like Naya combo or like white-black combo decks. 1 mana to just give your creature hexproof and indestructible to blank whatever they're doing, like board wipe wise, whatever, probably good. Like playing against a control matchup and they go to Ultima and you just make your guy indestructible, probably good enough. But probably not a main board card in a lot of decks. And then Quina. Quina is a ton of fun. It's another add additional in your token decks. And it's once again not creature tokens either, so this works with your clue tokens, your treasure tokens, you know, blood tokens, whatever. So you get a bunch of frogs. Goes well with the same kind of effects as the scroll decks with Chatterfang, and you know Samwise has his effect to do similar. And we're getting to a point where you could probably build a commander deck with I think 4 or 5 of these effects. So like you just make 1 token and instead it comes out being 5 different things. You know, pretty fun. And if you have good trample synergies, eating frogs to make Quina bigger might matter. Mostly it's just there for those extra tokens though. Alright, another Mythic Wildcard, good. That'll be good for building decks in a few weeks. Alright, this one's got some fun ones. Combat Tutorial is the best divination that they've printed for my style of play. I'm a big fan of tempo and mid-range creature decks, so being able to make one of my creatures bigger and draw 2 cards is awesome. I think this is the first time I'd run probably more than 2 divinations in a limited deck. Like because of its additional effect, I'd probably run up to 3 of these depending on how the rest of my pool looked. I did see someone who was trying to run 4 of these and it just wasn't, like they didn't have enough creatures to make it matter, so it really does depend on your creature suite. But such a fun card for limited. Then Battle Menu. This card is silly. Because it's so modular, it can do something in almost any situation. I've used it to protect things, I've used it to kill things, I've at end of turn made night tokens so that I had lethal the next turn. The only mode I haven't used is the life gain, and in the right deck, that'll matter too. I think this is going to be an excellent role player in sideboards, and just it's, as a whole, a just really, really good card in limited. Would be happy to have, 3, 4, 5 copies of it if I could in a limited deck. Like if it was my only removal, I would probably still be okay with it. Would prefer more diversity, but still very good. And then as a flavor win, this is one that Jubish would probably like, or Jubish, sorry. Cactuar is just fun. You'd put him out on turn 1, turn 2 you attack with him, at the end of turn 2 he just goes back to your hand, hides. So very fun mechanically, fits what the Cactuars do in the game. It's Not going to be a very good card in a lot of situations, but it is a very fun card. And then same thing with the Bard's Bow. +2/+2 and reach is great and limited. And equip cost of 6 is insane. So this is pretty much just a 3 mana 3/3 with reach. That unless you have ways to attach for free, you're probably not equipping later. Alright, another Yasholta. One more and we've got that playset finished. Fighting the Cactuar would be rather funny. You might want to wear gloves for that one though. He can be a bit prickly. Alright, only new card here is the Lunatic Pandora. I don't like it, honestly. I think in the green-black deck, it might be alright, because you're putting things in the yard. So Surveil could be okay, but it's really only worthwhile in like the mid to late game. Like, you don't have 2 mana free to do that very long. Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah, grappling with him could be fun. You're going to need that Black Panther outfit, though, to be able to deal with those thorns. Otherwise, you might wind up being a bit more pincushion than you'd like. No, then again, not going to yuck your yum if that's what you're into. Have fun with it. Oh, good. Rare wild card. Those are like the most difficult ones to get, it seems like. Always happy to get a rare wild card. Alright, nothing new in this one, so we can kind of speed through to the rare. There's that Choco I was talking about. This is what brings the Birds deck into Bant instead of just being a green-white Birds deck or a Naya Birds deck. Choco is just fun. And also, he doesn't have to be attacking. So if you already have Birds out the turn you play Choco, you still get that trigger, and you can still, you know, either draw the card or put lands into play. It's really fun as like a mid to late finisher on it. And curves right into Bart's as well, so you can have all your birds start punching people in the face. So there's a chance it might be too slow for the current standard, but hopefully after rotation things might slow down on the aggro side enough for this to be good. But also, Bant just has a lot of low creatures that can block relatively efficiently, and then amazing sideboard options, so it might still just be one of those mid-rangey decks that's good enough to deal with the current aggro meta. Well, only time will tell. Hopefully we'll have some info in the next couple weeks. Alright, Dragoon's Wyvern. It's a Windrake plus. Most of the time if you have a blue deck, you're going to play this. This is a format where there aren't a ton of flyers, so flying is very good when you can get it. And if you're in any of the equipment synergies, it holds equipment really well. It's already in the air. The extra creature is pretty good if you're doing any of the the blue-black strategies, because then you have that spare token to sacrifice to like the Vane's Treachery as a kicker. Extra blocker, that kind of stuff. Overall, it's a solid filler card. In this format, there's a lot of really good threes, so there's a chance that you have too many threes and you have to cut it, which is kind of weird for a Windrake, but Magic is just getting more powerful than what Windrake's stat line can really live up to these days. Ah, Sin. This is another one that I really want to build around at some point. Card art is great. They did a really good job in the detailing on it. Was really happy with that. I was afraid they were going to kind of wash it out too much, but looks great. It's a big old reanimator target. As long as we have Valgavoth and Atraxa in standard, though, Sin's probably, it might be a one of in some of the reanimator decks, but it's not going to be like the premier reanimator target yet. But after rotation, hopefully Sin will have its time to shine. I'm excited for it. I like the idea of it being able to trigger multiple times in a turn to get those lands. Or those land tokens, I should say. Also, because it's tap tokens, any token doublers work with this, and green has a bunch of token doublers. Or if you're doing any of the multicolor shenanigans, Elspeth's in standard right now and doubles tokens as well. There's a chance that you do this with the green Overlord, the white Overlord, so you get the double tokens there with Elspeth, and like a smaller reanimator package with Sin. I'm not certain about that. I kind of think that it's still better to just do like the Knights of the Round Uni-Reanimator stuff currently, but I don't know. There's a lot of options around. Also, Rest in Pieces in the format and probably about to make a big comeback, so we'll see. Alright, a couple new ones in this pack. That's fun. And a double. Alright, so Magic Infantry. is only ever going to see play unlimited. It's solid though, because it can go search for more copies of itself and put them directly into play. If you do, they count as the other artifact for their ability, so they become 2/1s. Reasonable card. I've liked it. Especially in like the Boros aggro decks or in the blue-white artifacts matter decks. Ultros, I haven't seen a reason to play yet. A 2-mana 2/1 is meh. It's hard to have enough 4-mana spells to reliably get the stun off of him, and there are so few 8-mana spells in this format that you would want to play that don't just already end the game for that last effect to matter. I think he's mostly just there because he's iconic in the story of the game. And then Summon Ifrit. Another one of those kind of like meh cards. He is one of the rare summons that is out for 4 turns, so you get to attack with him twice. You get sacrificed on that 4th turn. The loot effect's really good though. The extra mana effect might matter. Mostly it's just there so you can loot twice and get a good block in, or on the aggro side, get a couple extra attacks in. Alright, let's see what this double is. Oh, 2 copies of Winota. So it's the regular version and the alchemy version. That's what that is. So it's not legal in Pioneer or traditional Pioneer. It's banned there. Winota is mostly a CDH commander. Don't really see her much outside of competitive Elder Dragon Highlander format, and that's not on Arena, so probably won't get much use. But interesting art at least. And our rare is Hope. Now Hope's just a weird card. A life gain mill synergy deck. It's not really something that's existed before, at least to my recollection. The ability is definitely unique. Beginning of your end step, opponent mills X cards, or X is how much life you gain this turn. There might be some weird shenanigan-y like Soul Sister deck that tops off into your Sholta for double end steps. So, gain 10 life, go to your end step, they mill 10, and then mill 10 again, but that might be just reaching a bit too far. Oh, it'll be interesting to see if anything happens with it. I would like there to be a mill deck in Standard, but with how fast the mono-red decks are and blue-red prowess, like, I just don't think mill's anywhere near quick enough in the current metagame. Alrighty. Actually a couple here that we haven't seen or haven't talked about yet. So Clash of Icons is one that a lot of my friends are speccing very heavily on. They think that the Saga creatures are going to be like a massive part of Standard. I am less certain of that. I think that maybe in like the Uni-Reanimator decks they'll be good, but outside of that I don't see too many of them getting a lot of play. I think the most likely one outside of like the big boys like Summon Bahamut, Knights of the Round, and Titan is probably oh yeah, super dope art. The other one would probably be Summon Fenrir, just because the rampant growth effect is really good right now, especially if you need to color fix. But the remove and add lore counter abilities hopefully will matter, and since it also comes attached to a fight effect, 1 mana is good, but I think I would probably start this as a sideboard card and bring it in against the decks that are running a bunch of lore counter effects, or just, maybe only slot it in if you're playing a heavy lore counter deck yourself. Outside of that, Precious Wanderings is a very interesting card to me. Usually at 3 mana for your rampant growth effects, you're looking at Cultivate, so you get 1 to play and another land to your hand. In this case, instead of getting a second land, you're getting a 1/1 counter. But because it's an instant, it becomes a combat trick too. Really good in your Landfall Matters decks. Really fun at getting your creature just big enough to survive, like an unkicked Veins, or to get larger than any of like the burn spells, things like that. Or if you're playing like the Chocobo landfall strategies, it's like, all right, make my Chocobo 1 bigger off of the counter and another bigger off the landfall trigger. It's a really fun card. Another one of those ones that I think it gets better the more colors you're playing in your limited deck. Being able to use this to go grab your 1 of blue source and like an otherwise green-white or green-black deck or something, really nice. It does a lot for 3 mana. I've been very happy with that so far. Then Summon Rydia. Another just beautiful art. I really like how ethereal they made her dragon and made like the silk on her. Like very, very pretty artwork. Also, she's already seeing play in that Yuna Enchantment Reanimator deck that we've been talking about. The loot effect's really good for putting your big enchantments into the yard. So just a 1/2 for 2 that lets you get those landfall triggers to start filtering through your deck is great. One of the things that a lot of Reanimator decks struggle with is the discard aspect. So between the Rydias and the Fear of Missing Outs in that deck, it's pretty consistent at being able to put what you want from your hand into the yard. And then the Saga effect is also pretty good. It's another finality one. The fact that it's a sorcery is a bit worse. But it means you don't have to wait to the end step to get something back with Yuna. So if you have the mana, it's like, all right, cool, let me grab Titan now, and then with the end step trigger with Yuna, I'll use that to get back the Bahamut or the Knights of the Round or whatever else you want. But yeah, pretty fun little player in the new standard environment. And, oh, another Stiltskin. Ooh. Alright, now that's a house. I want to get this one in paper. Sir Conrad's just a very, very good card in most commander decks. It can fit into some of the CDH decks, but just any like bracket 3, bracket 4 black deck that's either aristocrats or self-mill or just almost any reasonable strategy that's not like specifically like demons or something. Sir Conrad fits in, and that's a really good art of Golbez. So very iconic and on an excellent legendary creature card. Really solid choice for that by the design team. All right, and the other two, nothing particularly special. Rook turrets, might be in that new affinity deck that's going around. I feel like it's a little bit too slow as a 4-drop though. Looting's okay, but not particularly great, especially at 4 mana. And then realm sketching. I have friends that keep trying to tell me that it's worth it, but a clone effect at a sorcery speed that you can't like reanimate, like most clones, the reason why they're as good as they are in commander formats is because you're going to get them back from the yard. In like a spell slinger deck you can use this to do that, but there's better things for you to either be flashing back or, you know, casting for free out of your graveyard than trying to do a 4-mana clone effect. I do like that it lets you hit lands as well though, like that's a fairly new effect, you don't see that very often, but oh, I don't expect it to show up very often in decks. Alright, another copy of Ninja Blades. That's our third one. Do have a very annoying story about this card from pre-release. Played against a guy who had the bonus sheet Dark Ritual. So in 2 of the 3 games we played, he was able to go turn 1, Dark Ritual, Ninja Blades, and just have a 2/2 on turn 1 that could dome me for his discards. Luckily I had my burn spells to kill it on, or kill the creature on 2 in game 1, and then to kill the actual equipment itself on turn 2 in the 3rd game whenever he did it. But really good card in limited. I don't think we'll see it anywhere else, but definitely made for an interesting time in the sealed tournaments. Finally got Giat after I've been talking about him for a while. He is probably the most important uncommon you can get in the Boros equipment deck in limited. Like, he's going to be a very high pick in draft if you're trying to go that archetype. I know 1/1 double strike doesn't seem like much, but that loot effect is incredible in limited. Being able to get to the equipments you need, or if you have the equipments, using it to try and get to the enablers that you need. Especially like Furion or Freya or Barret or, you know, any of those kind of things. Yeah, very good card, and he wears those equipments well. Like, once your job select creature dies, if you're going to spend the mana to equip it to something, Giat's a good person to put it on. Definitely got a couple kills with him in the Saturday morning event whenever I was playing Boros. Other than that, we got the Tidus Blitzball Star. Another really fun art, but a kind of lackluster card. A 2/1 for 3 that dies to everything just isn't good enough. If you are in the blue-white artifacts deck, then that could be fun. Oh, and oh yeah, your girlfriend is back. Good old Lightning with her thunder magic. Hell yeah. Yeah, with the Tidus, oh, there's a chance in the blue-white artifacts limited deck that you might want him. You really need to have like a critical mass of creating artifacts though for it to get good, because it doesn't have actual reach. Like, it has the ability to tap one thing, but it doesn't have trample, it doesn't have flying, it's okay. Yeah, once again, thunder magic is excellent. I really hope we open the actual Lightning, because I want to build a brawl deck around her, because her ability is insane. But hopefully we'll open her, we'll see. Agreed, Tidus was a good character, even if his voice actor for the English version was a bit cringy at times. Yeah, I agree with you, man. It is one of the best Final Fantasy games. I probably put it as my second or third favorite. I'm at just the right age where Final Fantasy VII was the most formative one for me, so for me it goes 7, and then I struggle to choose between 9, 10, and 6 as the second best one. That's fair. Like PS2 nostalgia, it makes sense that Final Fantasy X would be there. I think for me, it's like Parasite Eve 2 or something along those lines, like where my brain goes for the PS2. Ratchet and Clank, though, was a really good series. Oh, 7, 10, 13. That's an interesting mix. I didn't know. I like Lightning as a character, but almost everyone else in that game was just so flat to me that I didn't have a good time with 13. And I didn't ever do the 13-2 Lightning's Revenge or whatever it was. Like, the first game didn't capture me enough to play the secondary one. Might have to go back and revisit it at some point, though. I just couldn't get behind the rest of the characters and the whole Lassie system and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm glad that there was an audience for it, though. There's definitely some really cool art and some really cool characters from it. All right, and then we got Nibelheim of Flame. This is just a fun effect. I love make people big decks, so like give me my +1/+1 counters, let me get something huge, and this is like a Chandra's Ignition style of effect. My creature gets to deal damage equals power to everybody else. The flashback effect is also interesting in like really late games. It's like, you know, by then you probably only have 1 or 2 cards anyway, so pitch it and get 4 is nice, but yeah, it's one of those, it's probably only a limited bomb because it doesn't hit players, it only hits creatures, but yeah, it's fun, and it's a good representation of the horrors that Sephiroth wrought on there. Enjoyed 13, was also playing Dragon Age a lot of the time. Oh, that does make sense. Yeah, Dragon Age and 13, I could see that, like, they have similar vibes storyline wise, but you get high fantasy versus like cyberpunk fantasy. That's really cool. That is the Smash art. That's great. Oh, God, I haven't played Smash since they added the Final Fantasy characters to some of the stuff. I need to check that out at some point. But with all the shenanigans beyond the Switch too, I'm just kind of like off Nintendo games at the moment. Another good flash sheet card that I actually got over the weekend. So I'm kind of iffy on the card art. It feels like they literally just took a render out of like the actual game itself and threw it on a card. So without like the border to frame it properly, it just looks like they just slapped text over a 3D render. But I don't know. Daneth is a fun card. I used her a lot in the old days, and there's enough equipment synergies that she can be good in drafts. In sealed, you have to get enough equipment to make her matter, but oh, overall, fun card. Yeah, Giat is Adventure Time coded for sure. Those are good price points, or not price points, actually, good points in general about like the Switch 1 to 2 change. OLED Switch 1 is already basically like Switch 1.75, but for me it's not even the Switch, or not even like the features of the Switch 2 that are the problem. Like, it has some pretty cool upgrades tech-wise. It's the fact that you don't actually own it. It's the fact that you are leasing it, basically. You don't own the games. The games are being rented. Even like the physical copies are just the copy to your key to download it and play the downloaded copy. I don't like that you don't own anything anymore. Like, Nintendo owns all of it. If they see any mods or anything on your device, they just can brick your entire device. Like, I don't like that as a concept. I really don't like that Nintendo's going that direction. So until they kind of roll back on that or change their model, I don't think I'm going to be buying any more of their stuff. I have a friend who's already told me that they're probably going to get me the next Pokemon game when it comes out, so I'll play that on my Switch 1, but yeah. You're right about that. Much to my chagrin, ethics have a very, very high point in my decision-making tree, so when a company does something I just can't really support like that, that's where it goes. It's actually leading to problems right now in Magic, too. Really don't like what TCG Player has been doing to the original staff up in Syracuse, and I'm joining in on the boycotting of the TCG Player platform for buying and selling cards. I'll still read the free content on their website and stuff because I want to support the content creators that are making that content. But I'm not going to financially put anything toward TCG Player until they fix the messed up things that they're doing. Yeah, Pokemon ZA should be a good time. I do really like that. That's how I also see Aerith. It was like her being like this beacon of light, helping everyone out and being like kind of a shield. I feel like she's more the paladin of the team than people realize. It does make me laugh that they chose Yuffie to be the one that's like down and needs the help. Like, she is a bit squishy at times. And of course you got Cloud out there actually like keeping them alive while Aerith is doing the healing work. But excellent design on that. Yep. So glad nothing ever happened to Aerith. So her and John Wick's dog just been hanging out. Alright, Ishgard. All these adventure lands are kind of bad, unfortunately. If it was Graveyard to play for 5 mana, that'd be great, but Graveyard to hand for 5 mana just isn't worth it. So, unfortunately, I don't think almost any of the town lands, or like the adventure ones specifically, are going to see any play. What do we got next? Alright, another copy of Squall back to back. That's odd, but alright, well, we got it. 3 new cards to talk about. Blazing Bomb is a fun one. Probably gonna go in the equipment decks. When you cast a non-creature spell, it gets bigger if it's at least 4 or more mana. That part doesn't happen super often, but all it cares about is its power whenever you use its ability, so you can use equipment to make it more powerful. Potentially combat tricks, but I wouldn't like that since this is a sorcery speed effect. But overall, pretty solid. You get to use him as a removal spell or as an early blocker. Yeah, he's been a decent little role player for me in the red decks, especially the red-white decks. Vincent's Limit Break is weird. So it's your fairly standard instant speed. If my thing would die, it comes back. But it comes back with a new toughness. Actually, no, sorry. Never mind. Somebody was doing that wrong at the event, and I should have read this better. So the power toughness changes initially, and then whenever it dies, it comes back as whatever it originally was. But it still becomes an X2, and 2 toughness makes it die really easily. Like, almost every time I saw someone do this, I would just -2/-2 it, or, you know, play Thunder Magic and hit it for 2 or whatever, so didn't really get to do much other than reset ETB triggers. And then Vanille. She is the better of the 2 halves, I think. Mill 2 and get a permanent back is good, and it's not just from those 2 cards, it's any permanent in your graveyard, so that can be really nice. Especially if you do this in like a green-white-black shell, or even just green-white, you don't really need the other half of her. Getting back the O-ring effects are really good. The pay 5 and put it together, I haven't seen actually happen yet. But if it were to happen, Vigilance, Menace, Trample, Reach, Haste is a lot. So, there's a chance it's good. I just, maybe in draft it'll be something you can set up better, but in sealed it's unreliable. Alright, oh, Rabon. This is an amazing card for those equipment decks. So whenever he attacks, you just get to attach an equipment to something for free, or to one of your attacking creatures. Sometimes that's going to be him, sometimes that'll be other things. It basically wherever you need to shore up your defenses or make sure that you have profitable attacks, you can. Or just put a crap ton of power on him so that if anyone tries to kill him, they have to pay a huge amount of life for the ward cost that usually makes it so they just can't. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff in here. Lots of fun stuff for this setup. I was surprised at how deep they were able to go in when they were doing 16 different Final Fantasy games all in one set. Torgal, a fine hound. Another one of those kind of medium creatures, unfortunately. Yeah, Vincent always is aura farming forever. With Torgal, mana dork for 2 is not usually great. And there's not enough other dogs or wolves, really, I think, for it to be like a good synergy card in standard. It has opportunities though in Commander. And just a 2/2 for 2 still not terrible. Is like a 1 of in your deck, something to fill the curve, and there's a chance that there's upgrades. You do get a lot of humans in this format. Like there's a lot of different human legendary creatures, so getting them a little bit bigger. But yeah, it's interesting. And Sage's Nothus, or however you pronounce that. In my opinion, it's one of the worst of the job selects. It's still a 2/1 for 2. It's okay. And bad vigilance, like it attacking untaps a target attacking creature. And it can target itself, but just kind of mid. It's a filler. Tifa. Now that's a strong girl. I know a lot of people have already been talking about her combos. Tifa can kind of go crazy. There's a couple turn 3 kills with her. You know, turn 1, land mana dork. Turn 2, Tifa plus a pump spell, or preferably one that like stays on her. Turn 3, pump spell, fetch land. You just kill them. Problem is, through all of that, she's still just 2 toughness. She dies to everything. She doesn't have hexproof. She doesn't have any really good protections. Maybe if you do it in green white and then on white or on 1 instead of a mana dork, you play Zac Fair or something. Maybe, but yep. Yeah, super iconic. I do like what her ability does. They just made her die too easy. Like, it's gonna sound probably wrong, but like, they should have given the 2 toughness stuff just to Aerith and let Tifa be like at least 3 in the back. Because Aerith should be the one dying, not Tifa's, but it is what it is. Oh, for sure. Like, Tifa is one of like the namesake characters for Final Fantasy VII. Like, she is more recognizable than almost anyone else, and probably the most cosplayed Final Fantasy character. What we got? All right, we got Zidane finally. Oh, they made him look so happy stealing things. Of course, it's early game Zidane, whenever he's still happy before the world's like crushed his soul, so that's great. Oh yeah, the way they drew Bracers with the fire coming off is really good on the Tifa. So this one's fun. It's a threaten effect. It steals a creature. You get to untap it. It gets lifelink, which is a nice upside. Usually it just gets haste, doesn't get any other fun effects. But the lifelink's really good, so it's a big swing whenever you're attacking. Yes, exactly, when Zidane still had the light behind his eyes. They took that away rather quickly in that game. Alright, yeah, and then when the opponent gains control of a permanent from you, you get the treasure. Has some interesting synergies, especially with Stiltskin, so there's a chance there's like a red-white give stuff deck that might exist somewhere. I doubt it's going to be a standard deck, but it could be something fun to fiddle around with. And the other one is the other threaten effect. So there's only 2 in the set, and I got them both in the same pack. So this is just a green control of target creature, untap it, give it haste. But if you have an equipment, you can also just free equip it to that stolen creature, but it unattaches at the end of turn, so they don't get it once you give the creature back. So could be interesting, especially if you have something like Buster Sword or any of the other like really big equipments. It's like, all right, cool, I'm gonna steal your biggest thing, give it my best combat trick equipment, and smash you with it. Well, so to me, like that's like a little one-of thing you run in draft or sealed, but never more than one, really. There's my boy, Vivi. I am building CDH around this. I know like a million other people are also building CDH around this. Vivi is crazy strong. There's a standard combo deck with them already. I don't think it's super efficient just yet. Like they're going very all in on the combo and very little on the protection side of it. So we'll see if he actually has the support necessary to stay good in standard, or if it's just gonna be like a turn or a tier 2 combo deck that kind of folds to any real interaction. Although I will also say that the full combo version of it really relies on the graveyard because it's using Agatha's Soul Cauldron. So it's another one of those decks that just kind of dies to rest in peace. Like the next week or two, because of everyone that's doing the VV decks and doing the Reanimator strategies, especially the Una Reanimator stuff, I really think Rest in Peace is going to be a really good card, like potentially worth main boarding right now, not just sideboarding. And in best of one, definitely main board a couple Rest in Pieces if you're in white right now. Getting rid of graveyards is going to be big for stopping the Soul Cauldron shenanigans and stopping all the Reanimator shenanigans. And yeah, Vivi is one of my favorite wizards. I want to get an altered copy of it though for paper, where it's Veigar from League of Legends. Way back in the day, whenever I actually cared about that game, and like you had to like make Twink accounts to play with your Lobby friends because the ELO system was garbage. I actually had or made an account named Veigar VV, so it was just there to just play Veigar. It's so great. Oh wow, Freeren's that high up on your list already. Freeren, Vivi, Gandalf in that order. I want to see the remaining couple seasons of Freeren before I make that call. I really like her in season 1, outside of the blatant racism. We will see where that goes. Granted, I know it's magical fantasy racism and it's the orcs and the demons and stuff thing, but we'll see. Oh, interesting. I like the honorable mentions. The question is, which Merlin? Is that Merlin from the live action show? Merlin from Disney Sword in the Stone? Historical Merlin? Where are you at on that? And while you answer that, let's talk about the Gale Cat. It's another fun card. It's going to be way better in the Artifact Matters deck, but if you can reasonably get a couple artifacts, whether it's tokens or, you know, the little 1-drop artifacts or even the affinity dudes, any of that stuff, a 3-mana 3/3 Flying Vigilant is a nuts stat line. And even as just a 3-mana 1/3 Flying Vigilance that can hold equipments is really good. So very happy with that cat. Okay, Merlin from historical myth mostly. That makes sense. Crazy old man in the Disney version was a lot of fun. I love his Hawaiian shirt. Like, once I start graying, if and when that happens, I'm totally gonna be cosplaying as Merlin for different conventions, because just flip flops, Bermuda shorts, and a scraggly white beard. I'm about it. I really need to get you reading my favorite book series still. I'm glad I got you to read Ender's Game, and that we still need to follow up and read more of the books in that series. But you haven't mentioned one of my absolute favorite wizards ever yet at all. If we can get Harry Dresden, professional wizard, yeah, that's my dude. I'm a big fan. Yeah, cosplaying as Vacation Disney Merlin would be so much fun. Dude, I would love it. It's one of those things. I've tried dyeing my beard before and I can't get my beard to hold color. Otherwise I just like dye it gray. But yeah, it'd be fun. But yeah, Dresden is one of my top ones. For me, I think it's probably Gandalf, Harry Dresden, and Vivi are like my top 3 wizards of all time. There's a lot of wizards out there, but I think that's probably my top. Another triple try, that doesn't matter. And of course, because Magic has now got modern / future setting stuff, we have Selfie Shot in Magic. My fantasy card game now has people taking selfies. It is what it is. I never got into Final Fantasy 16 or 15, yeah. The boys go on a car ride game. But overall, pretty sure. Oh. Ooh. That's a really tough concept. So Freeren, Vivi, Gandalf, Merlin, Megumin, Dresden in a fight. Do they have prep time? And yeah, it's just straight up a screen grab. I feel like this is like the Batman answer of things, is like, is there prep time or no drastically changes the answer of that wizard fight. Okay, doors open, start blasting. I think Freeren actually just wipes the place. She's the only one of them that was like all combat all the time with like no restraint. And if she feels like she needs to you know, do it, she can apply her magic the most bombastically and also the most precisely out of anyone in that group, I think. So from what I've seen so far, Freeren probably sweeps. Vivi's got the power, but he's too timid. He wouldn't go in there guns a-blazing. Gandalf has some interesting magic, but not to the speed and precision of someone like Freeren. Merlin, even historical Merlin, I don't know. I think he might fake his own death and then come out at the end and like try and sneak attack Freeren or something, but she would see it coming, so he still wouldn't make it. Okay, with prep time though. Prep time, I think Dresden gets it. Dresden's great about contingencies and making sure to plan what battlefield he's at and having the right things. So Merlin turning them into snakes would be funny if he could think about it quickly enough. But it's gonna be one of those things where like Freerun's just gonna be able to sense their magical power innately. And Merlin and most of the rest of that group has never had a reason to like hide their magical power before. Like Dresden's the only other one out of that group that has like had any reason or practice at like suppressing their magical energy. So she would see that Merlin's the next biggest threat in her mind and just insta-give him. So Merlin would be wiped almost instantly by Freerun. And then with prep time, Dresden knows the history of Merlin, knows about what he does. His story ties in really heavily with the original Merlin in his universe. So it could be interesting there. And actually, I think in that situation, if we're doing the in Dresden universe Merlin, I think Dresden and Merlin team up together to sweep everybody else. And even then, they don't kill them; they just contain them all. Yeah. Overall, yeah, dude, Dresden's so great. I love it. Like it's like if Dick Tracy and Batman ran into a guy who has misogyny, but he knows it, and he's trying to be better, but he still can't help but be chivalrous. So like the I can't help but open doors for people, even though I know sometimes it pisses them off, like that kind of misogyny. Not the I don't think you can handle yourself, but you shouldn't have to handle yourself, like that kind of misogyny. Okay, if we add Doctor Strange, it just becomes a time loop again. It's one of those weird ones. It also depends like at what point in the timeline of Doctor Strange. Is this like once he's the Sorcerer Supreme or before that? Pre or post his arms being shattered by the Hulk? So it gets kind of weird whenever you get into adding Strange to the mix. I still think that like with prep time, it then becomes kind of a toss-up between Merlin, Dresden, and Strange. But without prep time, I think Strange gets wiped by Freerun as well. He's too flashy and gaudy, and I think Freerun's fast enough and precise enough to just, put a tiny bit of magical energy through his cerebellum quickly. That's fair. I kind of feel like she's like one of my old fantasy books, the Lawrence Watt Evans ones, with a single spell. This kid, like, his master died during his apprenticeship after only teaching him one spell, and he builds his entire career off of just being able to create fire. And accidentally finds out later on that if he tries to use his create fire spell on existing fire, it causes a massive F-off explosion. So it's huge. So I feel like it's in that same kind of vein. Yeah, the with a single spell archetype is very funny. Especially whenever it is just, I make things blow up. It's kind of like that barbarian that their only spell is cast iron, but it's really they just hit people in the face with a cast iron skillet. All right, let's move on to the next pack. We got 20 to go, almost through there. And like I said, they are going to get faster as we go since there'll be less new things to talk about. Like this one. Literally no new cards outside of the rare slot. And we got the water crystal, so... this one's interesting. I think there might wind up being a standard mill deck, and if there is, this is going to be like a 1 to 2 of in it. Mill plus 4 is great. It's actually going to be going into one of my commander decks. It's like a self-mill deck, because instead of milling like 2 or 3 at a time, going up to 7 at a time is huge. Oh, fair. Depending on the arena, you got to make sure that the big explosion doesn't just cause collateral to get her while they're passed out, so... be fun. Yep. I do like what they did with the crystals. I think the green one's the best for limited, and the black one's the best for constructed, and the blue one has interesting spots. Oh yeah, she would 100% take herself out. Ah, finally starting town. Cool. So we got some cool firsts in here. We'll start with the less cool, going to the most cool. All right, Warrior Sword. It's another job select card. This is one of the better ones, I think, as like a role filler. You're making a 4/3. 4/3s trade well on almost everything. Equip 5 is a lot, but if you're going to be spending that much, it's like getting +3 power is a lot to be getting, so it's reasonable to move this one around. It was an excellent curve topper in the Boros decks. Like, you don't really want to go past 4 in the Boros decks unless you have like an absolute bomb 5-drop or something that like pumps your whole team. But yeah, I really like Warrior Sword in the Boros equipment decks. Then Ashe, another fun one. I actually don't recognize the background from this scene. I feel like I should know, but I don't remember where she is in the background. Oh yeah, the coral is very pretty art. I don't know if I'd want one as a pet though. It's kind of like that episode of Archer where you find out that Pam, or not Pam, what's her name? That Cheryl/Carol has her giant cat. So it'd be a bit rough. But corals are fun. Sad that the tap target creature effect isn't as good as it used to be in limited. Yep, the Ocelot. Oh, actually reminds me, I need to get Baber that shirt. There's the Horror Island Ocelot baseball jersey that I've been seeing around. I need to get that for him for Christmas. Yeah, so her ability is really good as an attack trigger. She's another one that like the 2 in the back makes her not good enough for standard. In limited, it's pretty good. Also, she's a rebel. So that means in some of the older formats, if you do any of the rebel synergy stuff, like she fits in that now. And rebels like attack triggers. And yeah, there's a reasonable chance that that could do something. But it's not going to be a standard card. And then for Starting Town, probably the best card in the entire set. This card is going to see play in pretty much every format other than maybe Vintage. Being able to get mana of any color your first, second, or third turn just for only 1 life is great. Like, look at your City of Brass prices back in the day, mana confluence, all that stuff. The fact that it has a tap for colorless when you don't need to take for life is really good too. It's a town for all your go fetch a town cards that exist right now. It's so great. Oh, and that is Mondstadt. Okay, that makes sense. For some reason I could not place it. Like it was like screaming at my head, but I could not remember. So, Mondstadt's the one where you could set up the infinite attack or infinite loop where the game would play itself while you were asleep, right? So it wouldn't kill things over a certain HP threshold, so it would never kill the boss that ended it, and it would kill everything under a certain lower XP threshold, and it would keep summoning in the zombies, and you would get enough high potions off of killing the zombies to be able to perma heal your team. So you could just set up it to auto play itself, turn the TV off, but leave the game running overnight, and wake up to a max level team. Oh, good times. I think they patched that out in the international edition, but definitely remember doing that back in the day. Are you talking about the Starting Town as the Cornelia? I believe so on that one, yeah. This is the Warrior of Light's Starting Town of Final Fantasy 1, so that'd be Cornelia before you go fight it's Golbez, right? Or no, it's the other name for him before that for the very first one. God, I haven't played Final Fantasy 1 in like a decade or more. That was a fun game. I actually need to go reread 8-Bit Theater. I always loved 8-Bit Theater's like take on mixing like D&D and the early Final Fantasies, starting in Final Fantasy 1. Such a fun webcomic. Has my favorite brick joke in the history of brick jokes. All right, a few new things. Let's go in clockwise order. So Fate of the Suncrest is pretty cool. The fact that it's non-land permanent instead of just creatures is great. Targeting a tap creature only costing 3 instead of 5 is a fun combat trick or just, you know, way to defend yourself. Yeah, yeah. Not a lot of folks actually even know what brick jokes are, which is kind of sad, but yeah. I will definitely talk about them as much as I need to. And there's a very long history of brick jokes. They've been around for quite a while. I do like his giant bell though. Yeah, he's a fun creature for limited again. He's another one that will never see standard play, but you know, lose life, make a treasure, ramps you into things. The ability to surveil is fun in the green-black decks, but yeah, he's definitely more about the art than about his abilities. And then white Auracite is really strong. The fact that it is double white came up a couple times for me in sealed, but an O-ring effect that's also a ramp effect is good. Most of the decks where you're running this, you can also run either blink effects or there's a chocobo that you can flash in and bounce another one of your permanents. So you can kind of reset your O-ring and then grab whatever the most important thing you need to kill is. So overall, fun card. I really like white Auracites. That's something I'd run like a, as a 2 of a lot of times. Maybe a 3 of, depending on what I'm trying to either ramp into or how good the rest of my removal is. But very good card. Then Quistis. She's weird. They made her a very strange ability. So 3 mana 2/2 is not great. She is a wizard, so that's fun for wizard synergies. Her blue magic lets you cast an instant or sorcery card from any graveyard, not just yours, but you still have to spend mana for it. So it's that part's kind of rough. So you're not ever casting her for just 3 unless you have to because you need a blocker. You're really going to be casting her at like probably 5 or 6 to get like a 2-cost removal spell or a 3-cost card draw spell or something from the yard. Sometimes a bit more. But the fact that you have to commit all that mana to it is rough, especially since this is a trigger that targets the instant or sorcery card. So in response to you targeting, they can either try and flash it back if it's an instant speed card or remove it from their own graveyard with removal effects. Like there's, it's situationally okay for limited, but I think it's pretty much bad everywhere else. All right, and then our Wandering Minstrel, another one that I don't really know because 14 was not one of my games. But he's got a cool ability. 2 mana 1/3, lands you control enter untapped. So it's similar to Amulet of Vigor or basically the same as Spelunking. Amulet of Vigor is a bit better in the Titan decks because you get the trigger that you can respond to. So it allows you to do multiple taps of the same land. This that just comes in untapped, so you don't get that untapped trigger to respond to. Still good. It might wind up making its way into Modern in that deck. We'll see how the Brewmasters over on that Discord figure it out. That's one of the most complicated decks in all of Magic, so it'll probably take some time, but I'm sure they'll try it out. Then yeah, the town aspect of it is only going to really come up in limited probably. Make your 2/2 elemental token that's all colors is me. Most of the time, you're just running this for the lands coming untapped and the fact that it's an efficient body. And then if you're, playing the 5-color style, you'll probably have like at least 2 up to maybe 5 towns in your deck. So antheming your team's not terrible in that situation. Not reliable, but not terrible. All right, let's see what's next. Yeah, it's been a little while since we got a bonus sheet card. Yeah. Oh, the Genji Gloves. This is another commander card. Equip creature gets double strike. When it attacks, if it's the first combat, you get another combat and you untap it. But that's an 8 mana investment, 5 to cast it and 3 to equip it. Seems a bit rough. I might try it out in my Samut deck because the cost reduction makes it a bit better, but I don't have any equip cost reducers in there, so might not stay in it, but I'll probably play around with it a little bit because extra combats can be fun, but it's a combat, or it's a commander card. It's not going to be in standard. Alright, 2 more new ones, or 1 bonus sheet and 1 new one. Coral Sword is very interesting to me. 1 mana +1/+0, most of the time not worth it. The fact that the turn that you flash it into play, it auto equips and it gives first strike, amazing combat trick. It's also really good for just having a raw number of equipment out for things like Barret, or for getting your Giat triggers, like whenever an equipment comes into play. It does a lot of really good synergy rolls. So like the fact that once you're done with all of those big bursty synergies, it only gives you +1/+0. That part's kind of sad, but it's still just worth it. Everything else about it is excellent. It's a 1 mana equipment. It has flash. It's a combat trick. It auto equips. It does so much that even not getting toughness, it's worth it. All right, and then another really, really pretty art. I'm sad that it's from a game I didn't really play because 14 wasn't one for me either. But you got a lot of really cool artwork. You got your Sholta in there. Most of the other primary characters that you'd be interested in from 14. I played a little bit of A Realm Reborn. Got to max level with the Bard. Found out I could automate the first like 45 seconds of combat for every raid, and I lost interest and then I lost the account. So it's not really my game. But very pretty art for an iconic card. Braidstorm is a very, very good card, so nice. Alrighty, and we got Squall. So this is my old roommate's favorite card, or favorite character, I guess, from that game. The card's really fun. I liked it in Limited. Pretty much every time you play it, you're playing it so that one creature gets double strike for one turn, and then Squall's going to die before you get to untap with him. If you ever get to untap with him, though, his ability is really strong. You get your 3 drops back from your yard. If he's swinging alone, you're getting 2 of them back. A lot of fun stuff. But him and Cypher both have that same problem where he just always dies before you get to actually untap with him. Alright, so the green-white land, some more uncommons and whatnot. I have so many commons and uncommons it doesn't matter. What we got here? Oh, a chromatic lantern flash version. I know the guys over at Game Nights for their commander stuff. They basically say never play chromatic lantern, it's a trap. For the most part, I agree with them these days. You need your 3 mana rocks to do a lot more if you're trying to play like very efficiently. I like it though in like the bracket 2 decks. It's a good way to fix your lands in like the pre-con level power levels. Granted, you can do it for cheaper with, you know, Dryad of Elysian Grove, or I guess 3 mana for that still, but like it has a body and has additional effect. Or cheaper with like a Prismatic Omen, but that's an enchantment, and so it gets removed different ways. Like, there's a few different things you can do to get a similar effect. But I think if you're building bracket 2s, you're trying to do like pre-con-ish level of power, this is a fine card in those kind of decks. Doesn't really belong in bracket 3 and above. It's just not efficient in those spaces, but it's a really solid bracket 2 card. Alright, and Cecil. This one's another strange card. He's a flip card and does all of the things. So the fact that whenever he does damage, you lose life, that counts with if you're blocking, if you're attacking, whatever. If he does damage, period. It's not just combat damage either, so if you give him the ability to ping or something, that drains your life too. All those things are kind of rough. But flipping into a 4/4 lifelink that gives other attacking creatures indestructible is reasonable. There's already some black decks I've seen trying this out. I'm more of a fan of the mono black mid-range or the black white mid-range versus the aggro decks that would want this. I just don't think black aggro is as good as the red aggro strategies right now, but we will see. Death touch is an important keyword to have, so maybe it'll do something. Alright, let's see. Alright, a bunch of things we've already got, and now Rydia's Return. Another one of those modular cards similar to the Aerith one earlier. Pretty much you're just going to be using this for mode 1. Creature you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. It's a solid Anthem effect just to end the game in Limited. It's not good enough to be seen anywhere else. And returning 2 permanents to your hand at sorcery speed kind of sucks, because you're not going to have the mana to do that and then also use those permanents unless they're very low value permanents. If it was instant speed, I think it would be a lot better, because then it would be like a combat trick and end of turn, get 2 things back from your graveyard to your hand. But at sorcery speed, I'm really only looking at this as a way to like make the Chocobo landfall deck or the green-black reanimator deck just push over the top to finish a game. Side quest card collect. It's kind of a bad brainstorm. Like draw 3, discard 2 is okay. If you have 8 or more, it transforms into just a 4/4 crew 1 flyer. The stat line on the artifact is fine whenever it flips, but 4 mana for that effect doesn't seem good enough. I don't know, maybe I'll get proved wrong in draft, but it seemed kind of weak and sealed. Alright, another copy of Bart's and Boko, solid. Up to 2 of those now. Alright, 2 new cards to look at. They're both kind of meh. Alright, so the Poo Poo UFO. It's a very niche thing from Final Fantasy VIII. Just throws a lot of people off that it even exists in Final Fantasy, much less exists in Magic now. I'm hoping that the alien typing on it means something whenever we get to our next big set. The Eternity set is going to be fun. We're going to be in the void, like between the planes, like where the Eldrazi come from and all that fun stuff. So if we have Alien as a creature type, this could be telling towards that. But otherwise, like it's a good blocker. Lets you cheat lands into play early. Most of the time, you're not going to have enough towns to really make his pay 3 effect matter too much. But a 2 mana 0/4 blocker is really good on its own, and the fact that in a turn you just tap to put a land into play helps you ramp up a little bit early. And then speaking of ramp, Gobu Gardener. He's so happy to be there. He's just a solid little 1/3 for 2, so a solid blocker. Ramps for a single green. Green almost always wants more mana, so. Oh, he's a good, really good role filler in the green decks. I've played quite a few of them this weekend. Very fun card, nothing splashy, but he does his job well. Ugh, it's Anarchind. This is the only one of these that I think might have a place in Limited. Making a really big hero token for 6, it could be reasonable. But most of the time with green, you're going like 3 or 4 colors, so having a tapped land that only taps for green is rough. But if you get down to this being like just green-white or something, then this could be a reasonable bomb late. It's like, alright, pay 6, make a 7/7 isn't terrible. But yeah, other than that, it's not very impressive. Elixir. This is a card I feel like they missed the boat on, sadly. So it's only 1 mana to play, which is nice. Enters tapped, which most of the time isn't going to matter because you're not going to be trying to use it the turn you play it in a lot of cases. But 5 mana and you exile the Elixir just to shuffle your library and gain life equal to the number of shuffled. Feels rough. It's trying to replace the old like M12 Elixir, where it was, I think it was what, 2 to play and 2 to flip, or 1 to play and 2 to flip, something like that. And you'd only gain, I think, 4 life, but you'd shuffle all your stuff back, so it was like the anti-mill card. The thing is, there's no good ways to get this back from the yard, really, that you would want to spend on it. And 5 mana and exiling it, so you don't get to do this as a loop. It doesn't get to finish you out like you would in the old blue-white mill decks. Like, the old Elixir, or Elixir of Immortality, was a solid actual like finisher. You couldn't deck, but the opponent could, and you just controlled them to the point that they couldn't do anything. It was one of those classic, you win 1 game and then run out of time in the round. Like, you only need to win game 1 because game 2 is never going to finish. But this Elixir just isn't up to that level. Oh, Jill. She's interesting. Another one that I don't think sees any standard play. She's a mana war. 3 mana 2/2 that bounces something when she comes into play. Occasionally you'll flip her. Making something unblockable is nice if you have other things on the board, so you can get through that last little bit of damage to finish a game out. The tap all your opponent's lands doesn't do all that much. Granted, it means that they have to float all their mana in your pre-combat main phase, so you can just go to combat and they can't combat trick you that turn. But that's really it. Like, you can't cast spells before combat because their mana's still there. They might have their counter spells or whatever the removal they need to do. So it really just says, skip your pre-combat main phase. It's not great. But she does then turn back into the mana war again, so you get to bounce something else. But I don't know. Like, she's a fine card in the blue limited decks, but that's pretty much the only place she's gonna be. You know, maybe in your older decks older cubes replace mana war with her, so it's mana war plus upside, but Alright, only one here is Slash of Light. I actually took this out of the only deck I was running it in. Damage equal number of creatures plus equipments you control. So if you're playing like a very low to the ground deck, this can be like between 2 and 5 pretty quickly. So not bad for, 2 mana deal 5 or something, but a lot of the time it's a 2 mana deal 2, which can be okay, but it's not great. It's better as a sealed card, probably. I don't know, if you can get enough build around equipments, and especially the job select equipments in draft, it could be okay there, but I don't think it's going to see play almost anywhere else. Oh, no, this is a fun one. Alright, so this is another one that I don't think is going to see any standard play, but it's just got silly stat lines. An 820. It is the single largest printed toughness of any card in Magic right now. Just absolutely silly. Vigilant, so it can attack without tapping, so you can always block with it. Not that it really matters. Any damage that would be dealt to you or your other permanents goes to the Adamantoise anyway. Then if he would die, you exile it and get 10 trapped treasure tokens. I think in a lot of cases, if you're playing this, it's going to be in some kind of like weird reanimation loop where you're going to try and be exiling it just to get the tapped treasure tokens, and there's better ways to get large amounts of treasures. Or it's going to be in some sort of like, butts matter, make it swing for 20, that kind of deck. But I don't know, it's silly. I like the concept behind it. Damage not being removed during cleanup steps is going to confuse a lot of newer players, sadly, but it's fun. It plays more like a Pokemon card than a Magic card in a lot of ways, but it makes sense whenever that Ancient Adamantoise was like a multi-hour long battle back in the day. Alright, there's that Summon Fenrir I was talking about so much earlier. Love this card. It is so good. Alright, the Crystal's Chosen. I don't like this card. A lot of people are talking about how it's a good, top end in your white decks. Making 4 2/2s is eh. If you already have a good board presence, adding a 1/1 counter to your team could get you big enough to like go over the top. But a lot of the time in this current format, like by the time you're getting to 7 mana to do something like this, you and your opponent each only have like 1 or 2 things left on the board. It's been a lot of like back and forth removal. Like you're not getting a lot of this. So like 7 mana to at minimum get 8 power seems undervalued. Like you can do that for like 5 or 6 mana in a lot of situations. So like 7 mana, sorcery speed, pretty low floor. Ceiling could be reasonably high, but just doesn't seem great to me. Oh, there we go. There's the Buster Sword. That's one of the things people have been talking about for a while. It's got the traditional sword costing of 3 colorless and equipped for 2, which is just great. Adding +3/+2 is also really strong. Usually we only get +2/+2 for that stat line. And then also has the when you deal combat damage to a player, you get to draw a card and then just cast a spell for free that costs less than or equal to the amount of damage that you dealt. Really, really strong with double strike effects. Probably the best equipment in the set. There are some of the job select ones that I'd put very close to it, but free spells and card draw are just incredibly powerful. And it's got a reasonable equip cost. So many things in the set are like equip 4, equip 5. So equip 2 is just, it's excellent. Very well costed card and limited. None of the swords are really seeing standard play yet, but this one and probably like the green-white sword have the chance to come in with the new equipment decks if they become a real thing. So hopefully we'll find out something, after rotation. Garland. So there we go. That's who I was thinking of. It was Garland that you run up and fight to right off the bat. Like him and Ultros that you fight 1,000,000 times in Final Fantasy 1. Excellent art. I really like whenever he flips into Chaos. Like I would probably get that as a playmat. Like not the Garland side, just the Chaos side. Also, I'm pretty sure they took Devil Joe's legs and put it on Chaos. Not sure how many how many Monster Hunter fans I have out there, but I'm pretty sure those are Devil Joe's legs just scaled down to Chaos. Once again though, he's a reasonable like 3/2 for 2. His surveillability is interesting. You're almost never gonna pay the 7 to flip him though. If you do, a 7 mana 5/5 flyer is kind of eh, but could be what you need to get over the top in the limited environment. All right, another copy of Immense Silk. Cool. That Hades ability is so good. Just being able to just have Yawgmoths on like statically on your turn is really good. Alright, Summon Leviathan and Light of Judgment. So Light of Judgment's another just really solid removal spell. 5 mana is a lot, but the fact that it 2-for-1s them, it kills a creature and an equipment attached to that creature, a lot of the time in this format that's really good. Sometimes this will just be a sideboard card you bring in against the equipment decks, like if you have a lot of other more efficient removal. But if you only have like 4 or 5 pieces of removal, this is a really good one to have. And then Summon Leviathan was interesting. It won me a few games for sure. Like being able to get rid of all of their token creatures is great. It doesn't return the equipments, it just returns the creatures, so it gets rid of all those job select auto-equip tokens and makes their equipment less useful. Overall, it's a solid tempo card. I like it as like a top end in your like rug or blue-green decks. It only gets to swing once. I actually was able to swing with it with Double Strike a couple times by playing it and Cypher in the same deck, so that worked out. But yeah, I like it. It's a fun card. Right, and play Blitzball. I actually haven't seen this. Actually, no, one opponent played it against me, and I just kept them off of creatures, so they never really got to use the +2/+0 ability. Like they hit me with one creature the entire time that it was out with that bonus, and it never got to transform. I think if you could reliably transform it, it could be pretty good. Like Double Strike's very strong to have, but yeah, it's a bit iffy to flip. Alright, so only new one so far is Diamond Weapon here. It's another one that has potential. There's some mono green like commander shenanigans you can do with it with the cost reducers. And maybe I'll just like repeatedly replay it. Like food chain-esque style of effects. But oh, it's definitely an interesting card. So I don't think it's particularly great in most situations, and at 9, like that's a ludicrous cost in most limited environments. If you can reanimate it, it's better. Or if you can play enough permanents and ways to get them in the yard, then it's good. So like you really need to be in that green-black self-mill kind of build. But I think a lot of the time it's going to get killed by destroy target artifact or, you know, whatever other effects. Like it's going to get naturalized before you get to hit people with it. Oh, there we go. Summon Knights of the Round. Here's one of our big boys. The most difficult thing you could get back in Final Fantasy VII's original game. So much work to be able to get that freaking summon. But then you have to watch like 2 minutes and 44 seconds of FMV every time you cast it. And, like the best thing you could do in the game was to have it cast and then mimicked and then double cast and then mimicked and just forever Knights of the Round animation. I don't know how many times my eyes glazed over to that summon. But it is very strong. It's indestructible, which is really nice. It's one of your 2 major top-end cards that you're trying to get in the Naya Enchantment Reanimator deck right now. It's this and then the big 9-drop Bahamut. 4 turns of making 3 2/2s, and he's just indestructible already. It's really strong. Even if they Wrath, unless it's a -X/-X or an exile-based Wrath, you're still going to have the summon out, and it's going to make it another 3 dudes next turn. Also goes really well with the new Elsbeth, with the token doubler, so every turn you're making 6 of those knights instead. And then if it somehow makes it to that 5th one, making them all into 4/4s that are indestructible is really strong. And it's indestructible counter as well, so it just stays on them. Or if you put on something like a Zac, you can then move that indestructible counter around, like by sacking the Zac. So there's definitely something to do there. I don't think you ever hardcast it, but it's definitely a fun card. Alright. I think the only one here that we haven't talked about yet is Ultimecia. I got her in a jump-in event earlier, so that's why she's not showing as new. So 5 mana 4/5 is enters or attacks Surveil 2 can do some interesting stuff, especially that new 3-drop that lets you draw cards when you Surveil or Scry. The fact that her ability is an instep trigger is a bit rough, but whenever she flips, you get to take an extra turn, so that's also very strong. I'm sure there's going to be some commander loops where you flip her, then on the extra turn you sack her, then play her again, and at the end step use the ability and all that jazz, but exiling 8 cards from your graveyard is pretty hefty, like even more so in standard, so I don't think she's going to see standard play. Alright, summon Primal Odin. This one's a very thematic one. So Gungir, you enter, he just destroys a target or destroys a creature an opponent controls. Solid, he enters Zanzukin something basically. Then on turn 2 is actual Zanzukin, the only turn that he can attack unless you have haste. He has whenever he deals combat damage to a player, they lose. Could be very fun. I kind of want to figure out like a sneak attack deck for this, where you can like sneak it in, up the lore counter by 1 immediately, and then smash them. But I feel like that's doing a lot, because right now the only good ways to mess with that are like proliferate, or like generic add a counter effects. So I'm thinking maybe like something that doubles counters, so it comes in on 1 and immediately doubles to 2. So you get the Destroy and the Zanzuken. So that way all you have to do is just pay the 1 red on Sneak Attack to put it into play. It gets the effects and then smash. But I don't know. It's going to take a lot of setup to make that kill happen. Bit more of a Timmy thing, but it has some potential. Okay, cool. Another rare wild card off of opening packs. We got Ring of the Lucy. It's mid at best. At 4 mana, I'd rather get 4 mana tap for 3. The fact that it has the pay a life and tap a non-land permanent means that it's actually more playable and limited than this kind of effect normally would be. Because just like the Soul Ring for 4 is kind of bad. Especially when like Thran Dynamo and things like that exist, but oh, I don't think it's as good as the Hedron is, where you can like draw 2 cards instead of getting this tap effect, but it's something. Alrighty, got a few new cards this time. Overkill is probably the best removal spell to come out of the set. That minus 9,999 looks silly as heck, but yeah, kills anything that's indestructible. The only thing that really stops it is hexproof. It's a very good card. At instant speed, better than murder style effect with only 1 black pip is good. Wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing this as like a 1 or 2 of in some of the control decks. There's still really good 2 mana removal that is probably going to see a lot more play than this, but it has some good spots. Then Travel the Overworld. Affinity for towns isn't really a thing in most decks. I think if you're playing like a 4 or 5 color deck in limited, this will have a good spot in it because you probably are running like between 2 and 5 towns. But yeah, it's not super great. If it was an instant, I think it'd be better, just because like Affinity for towns is hard to set up. And so outside of like a Towns Matter commander deck and like very niche limited situations, it's just not going to get played. Alright, the Darkness Crystal. This is the one I'm the most excited for. Making your black spells cost 1 less is just good to begin with. Non-token creatures and opponents control get exiled instead, so you get to avoid any death triggers. This is great to bring in as a sideboard card against any kind of like aristocrat style decks that might be coming out. Anytime that people are trying to do any kind of sacrifice shenanigans, any of that stuff, this is just good against that. Doesn't stop mill. It is specifically dies for that, so it's not as good as some of the effects where like if a creature would enter the graveyard, make it go away. But the life gain's also really good on it. So if you can play this quickly enough against any of the faster aggro decks and start killing their things, netting the life gain is nice too. But the big thing is instant speed reanimate. It does enter tap, so you can't use it to block, but you don't have to like reanimate it on your turn and then it get blown out by sorcery speed removal. You can just wait until the end of their turn, reanimate whatever you need to. It comes in 2 bigger, untap and start swinging with it. And it's from any graveyard. It's not just yours. Or not, sorry, not any graveyard. It's anything that's been exiled. So lots of fun stuff. Anything that's been exiled with the Darkness Crystal. I think it's fun. Not as good as it could be because it's not just anything in any graveyard. It is just the exiled cards. But still, pretty powerful. Not good against the control decks, but could be really good against the other mid-range strategies. Bring this in like the mono-black demon matchup, or against any like the red aggro strategies that if you have an early enough game to like to stay alive to play the crystal. Interesting. Having some server problems. Everything good with the stream though? Yep, everything looks like it's still going good. Decent bit rate. Yep, just waiting for Final Fantasy. They might be doing some sort of maintenance or something if things bugged out from the new set. While that's loading, let me go check on my other screen and see. Yeah, according to their website, they're all good. Might just have to Alt F4 out and log back in. No, pardon the dark screen while I get this stuff set up. Let's hop over into just chatting until I get Arena going again. Oh, didn't realize part of the boom mic was in the screen. That's good enough. Well, it's getting there. Oh, while this is going, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. So let me hit a BRB. Alrighty, looks like it's back up. Let's go ahead and get back into these pack openings, and then we can get into an event. Oh, the store is currently locked. Interesting. So whatever they had to patch out, it's turning the store off. Definitely seems like Arena's having some issues there. Well, let's see if the limited environment is working or not, or if that's also down. I'm gonna do traditional sealed, which for some reason does not work for the ranking system. I don't understand why only best of one does that, but alright, let's do traditional sealed. Get some practice in for Vegas. Well, everything's going very slowly. Okay, let's use one of my sealed tokens to do this one. It's just the gem reward that's changing. Okay. Alright, looks like Arena's just plain down. Let me go check any of the other streamers and see what they have going on, if anything. See if it's just our region or if it's everywhere. Alright, yep. Looks like it's just down everywhere. Well, if Arena's gonna be down, I guess we will switch over and do some MTGO. See how that goes. No, give me just a minute while I get that switched over. We'll hop into our just chatting while I get that set up. Let's get a little bit of commander in with the new commander precon. So I picked up the Bant +1/+1 counter deck. Do some bracket 2. Alright, does it pull the game capture over directly? Yeah, you definitely don't want them to blow up your truck, man. Like, you've put way too much time and effort into that thing. Okay, currently trying to get this to load up to see if I can get the game capture to work. I might have to set up a new capture for Magic the Gathering Online. Unfortunately, Arena, shit in the bed the way that it is right now. I'm not going to be able to do more on there. Let's see if I can do this a different way. We'll set up as a display capture of this particular screen instead. Alrighty, there's that. Let's go ahead and get it down a bit. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and do some commander. Like I said, we're just gonna do the pre-con decks instead. Yeah, it's strange. Like they're trying to go very mobile first in their upcoming updates from what they were saying at TwitchCon, but we will see whether or not that actually changes. Alright, let's go down and grab our pre-con deck from there. Pre-con counter blitz. Submit. I'll go ahead and create a game, 3 to 4 players. And we'll see if we get anyone to join in. I should probably update my feed as well. Hmm. I wonder which pre-con like this other person has. Hopefully we get a few more people to join the event soon. Yeah, this is always the worst part about trying to get Commander going on Moto during the day. There's not usually a lot of folks that want to play low power decks. A couple people that are multi-queuing or wanting to do 1v1s though. Also, for anyone who's interested in playing Commander on here, never queue against the Dream Crusher over there. He just wants to play mono blue, counter everything you ever do. It's very boring 1v1s. Nice. Amazonians actually got up an even bigger thing saying MTGA is down. It's not just you. Nice. Yep, so Path of Exile League is about to come out on Friday, so in addition to Magic content, there's about to be a bunch of really fun stuff for Magic too. Yep, Fubgun's already trying to set up the Volcanic Fissure of Snaking build. That'll be another good one. And Captain Ice is trying to make sure Energy Blade's still good, even though Ephemeral Edge got neutered. Yeah, bunch of cool stuff. Oh, interesting. Rax is already doing prep for it. Usually he's really heavy into Diablo this time of season. And Darth microtransaction as well. I guess PoE 2 really got them excited for PoE 1, moving away from that D4 life. It's really nice to see that much people actually watching Path again. 24.3 thousand viewers in there now. Oh, good. The Commander game is finally starting. Yep. See you when you get back. And of course, they're playing things that do not appear to be precons. There's always somebody who doesn't listen to the listing. It's precon level. Turn 1 Soul Ring double equips. Only one person actually brought a precon other than me. Is what it is. There's no way to enforce the rules of the games on here other than to just scoop, and that's just no fun for anybody. Probably means I'm gonna get to see a lot more of my deck again, so that's at least something. Go ahead and ramp, try and smooth things out for the next turn. Be able to play a 4, either straight into the Tidus or something else. Let's go with one of the always tap lands. I'll go green white. Okay, so unless I draw something interesting, we're just going to be playing Forgotten Ancient on my next turn. Since they're going to be casting a bunch of stuff, it looks like. I know it's not big enough to block the freaking Valduk bullshit. I really hope somebody has something to kill the Valduk like 2 or 3 times. I'm interested to see Reaper steal stuff. And the Bane of Progress is going to be really bad for the equipment deck once I get to 6. It's really pretty Seaside Citadel art. Oh look, he added another equipment to Valduk. Who would have guessed? I do like how communicative this group is. It's kind of nice, even if most of it's complaining about the Valduck guide just having such a fast start and not being a precon. But the board's at least talking. That makes Commander a lot more fun. I think this turn, unless something interesting happens, it's going to just be Valifor, because that's going to get rid of his Valduck. And then after that, I'll be able to do the Summon Valifor stun stuff. And proliferate the stun counters. So, maybe what needs to be done. I'd like to be able to just go, like, Tidus into something, but nah. Okay, now I'll get rid of the elephant token. See what he reveals off of his Trinket Mage. I'm assuming Soul Ring, but we'll see if something more interesting. Yep, Soul Ring. Now they're going to play that. Okay, yeah, that should work. I'll be able to do Tidus and Riku on turns, or the turn where I have 6 mana, so that I can make one of my big dudes unblockable to get the proliferate triggers on the stun counters. So, should be good. Unless something changes, looks like Summon Valifor into a Riku Tidus double turn. Nope. Okay, what do we got? Nope. Nope, definitely not that. It is a bit of a slow game so far, but that is to be expected with lower power level decks. I've used 3 minutes and 4 seconds of time so far this game. Actually pretty average. The only person's gone really more than that's the blue player. Balduke is back. 1 mana to equip one of those things. Oh, instead they're just going to play a new thing instead of equip. Interesting. And tapping Valdic down doesn't really matter. It's just for the equipped stuff. So I'll be keeping Pantsalaza tapped down once they recast it. Which actually doesn't really matter that much either because the discovers on anything ETBing. Not the best things to be stunning, unfortunately. That, or I could just completely shut King of Hearts out of the game by just playing the Bane of Progress. But that would also kill my Veil 4. So I'd rather not do that just yet. Still feeling more like a Tidus Riku one. That's going to make my Forgotten Ancient unblockable and probably smash into the Dynamos player. And proliferate stuff. There's no stuff in the graveyards for me to want to do the summoning one yet. Let's see what Bance gets. Oh, there we go, a bunch that time. Do an Arcane Signet. I'm okay with that. It's nice that they keep feeding the Forgotten Ancient and making it bigger and bigger. Yeah, that's not a good spot for that. Okay. I'll just take the 4 here. Do not want to trade off my Summon Veil 4. Yep, so this specifically needs to be Riku into Tidus. Okay. Well, drawing 2 might change my mind. We will see. Alright, Tormods. Interesting. No one really has a yard worth exiling just yet. Yeah, I think I'll move the lore counter off of it. Only I control for that one. Okay. Oh, Fondomilus. Okay, so we're about to be drawn. Oh Jesus, so many things. Unblockable 1922 is kind of crazy. Let's see, arena status page, everything's still down. Hopefully this doesn't happen for Final Fantasy, or for Path of Exile on Friday as well. First major content update in almost a year there. Sad I don't have any of my things that let me move the lore counters whenever something dies. It'd be good if they do finally kill the Forgotten Ancient, I could just still get the counters to put on Tidus. That would actually be really funny. Someone stole my dude and swung it at someone that's not me because it'd be unblockable to my opponents. 27 damage, so I'm gonna still survive even if it all comes at me. I'll have 7 mana. I don't have a 2 to go with that, otherwise it would be Inexorable Tide plus a 2. Probably gonna wind up being Brood Moth plus Yuna, or Waka plus Yuna. I only have 3 white sources, so I can still do that. Alright, they're fully putting Arena into maintenance mode now, so it's going to be unreachable for a little bit. Oh shit, Natalie, that's going to be gross. So there goes my just unblockable smash everyone thing, but still move all the counters onto Valifor and kill somebody. Oh, they thought they were the first person to think of a food chain with squee, but nope. That is a very, very, very common line in CEDH. So looking like putting a bunch of things on Valifor and killing probably. We'll see. Let's cut your losses. Your player mills half their library and they're targeting the Pansalasa deck. Interesting. Oh, and they're going to copy it and target. Oh, doing them twice. So they just milled to death. They're at an even number, so it's literally going to be. For sure. Hitting the Zakama for that, though. That's cool. Ooh, the mana cost? Or? Just a burn. Okay, that's the. Let's see what I get to draw. Of course, got botted. It happens. Hmm. Regis are alpha, so they got all the tramples. I'm dead. Unfortunate. I can block 3 things and still die to the rest. Okay. It is what it is. Let's see what they target with that. Sad. So close. I think I'm actually going to take that time to get ready for my Magic tournament tonight. I was going to go till 5, but with Arena being down, there's not much of a reason. So, hope you guys have a good rest of your day and, enjoy the rest of the week.